Go ahead, start the show. I'm gonna swap the laces on my shoes while we do this shit.
Oh, that's
okay.
an on-brand thing for
okay,
size
do
10.
the intro so I can talk about these shoes.
Welcome to another off-topic episode of Size 10. I am Nick Scalzone. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Scalzone Comedy.
I'm Bjorn RG. You can find me on Instagram at SkateCub or Bjorn RG on Twitter.
And me over here, I'm Terry. You can find me on Twitter. Terry was taken with underscores. And I am... We've been talking so much about these fucking lace swaps on the show. I was at the house and I was like, oh, I'm going to be in the studio today. Oh, I'm going to be on camera, so I'm not just going to wear my Adidas match courts that I wear every single day. And I was like going through the closet. I was like, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? And I ended up going with these. So this is these are called the Rooks. We'll talk about that in a second. But they're from Proper, which is a shoe company out of here, Portland, Oregon, owned by Sean Baravetto, former Nike designer. Used to work in SB. Got out of Nike, decided he was going to start his own shoe company, and so he makes skate shoes, and the whole thing is like skate shoes for like working class skateboarders. So I think they all retail for like between like $65 and $80, and I think you can get them pretty good price from Sean. But anyway, we've been talking so much about these fucking lace swaps and these navy Rooks. They're called the Rook because I don't know if the camera's going to be able to see this, but they have kind of like a little Rook, like
from chess.
Yeah, the chess match. But they had these navy laces in them, and I don't know, boys. Like, you think I'm going the wrong direction?
No, I think a white lace is going to look cool. I think we're all about to find out.
I had the
real
same
time.
ones. They came with a navy lace and they came with a purple lace, and I actually lace swapped the purple into them.
Oh, you know what? I thought about putting the purples in my high top blazers because I have a purple sweatsuit, but then I realized it was too much. But
I just wanted, I put the purples in because it was just, it's just a navy shoe, and I just wanted something to sort of like make it pop. It was that color purple.
Got a nice little purple insole
in the
here,
insole.
So color match to that. That's not what we're going to be talking about nonstop, though.
No,
Nick,
I had a thing. So yesterday I went to a basketball game. I went to see my Montana State Bobcats play against my Portland State Vikings. I'm currently taking a class at Portland State, so I didn't really have any real allegiance in this game. I had Bobcats allegiance. I was wearing their gear.
Yeah.
But, like, in case they started to lose, then I could just be like, well, I'm also a Viking. I'm
taking a couple credits.
It's called a win-win situation is what that's called. Anyway, the Bobcats coach was like, we did win. The Bobcats won by, like, 20 points.
So now
we
he's
fucking
You're like, we won.
Well,
we won when you're
Bjorn
going for both teams.
Bjorn and I, us two Bobcats, we did a lot to help the team.
Yep.
We didn't. We paid them some money back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Some. We gave them a little bit of money.
Good amount. Quite a bit. Anyway, their coach was like a real hothead dude, and it started to really annoy me. Like, in the first half of the game, I sort of understood it. Like, he was kind of yelling at him and telling him, like, hey, you guys got to do this. We were sitting, like, right behind where the Bobcats were hanging out and getting yelled at by their coach. And he was standing in front of where the announcers were. There's, like, that little wall thing.
Yeah.
And, like, when they'd fuck up for whatever reason, he would just, like, punch it. And it was a loud hit. Like, this guy was really...
a lot of toxic masculinity.
Very, very toxic, this man. He carried that same energy. Like, they were 20 points ahead with 1 minute left in the game.
Still mad at
and
them.
he still hit the wall. And I was like, bro. Like, it was really starting to get...
That's why I struggled, dude. That's why I struggled in school with sports. Is because there'd be coaches like that where you're like, "Yo, we won."
Yeah,
and you're mad at us.
Literally impossible for us to lose by now, bro.
I get it.
You get it?
Yeah, 100%.
You'd be punching the wall.
Well, so the thing that's notable about collegiate sports is that you have teams that should not be playing each other that play each other. So, like my comparison to that last collegiate basketball game I went to was Gonzaga, one of the best teams in their division, playing against the Portland Pilots, Portland State University. One of
University of Portland.
Sorry, University of Portland, UP, yeah. But the Pilots, and they got blown the fuck out of the water. Now, the thing is, Gonzaga is going to, they go to like, Sweet 16, March Madness, all that shit. So they're going to play a lot better teams. And I think we've talked about this, I think, off air, but it's like you don't play to the level of the team that you're playing. You play to the level of your team. Yeah. And if they're making unforced errors, if they're fucking up in ways like missing free throws because they know that it doesn't matter, they are not playing with the winner's mentality. And it's like, so this is why in a lot of college basketball, you see these huge blowouts. When I saw that Pilots game, Gonzaga beat them by like 28 points or some shit like that. They were up the entire time.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, because they're playing like fucking champions. They're not saying like, all right, we can like put in the other guys. Okay, we can like let off the gas a little bit. They're like, no, we're going to score on every fucking bucket or every offensive drive. Now I'm talking in football terms.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the deal. Like when I played sports, I had a coach that like made us run laps after we blew a team out of the water because he was like, yeah, y'all missed 8 serves. That shit is unacceptable to me. I don't care how much you're up.
Yeah.
You need to play like the game matters. And if you don't, I'm going to bust your ass over it. So
they should have turned it into just be like, let's pretend this is a slam dunk contest. We'll just do that. Just do really showy dunks.
Yeah.
Like,
they didn't do any of that.
Well, it's funny you say that because that happens in the NBA, or actually
Does it?
Should. But there's these weird unwritten rules. So Greg Brown III plays for the Portland Blazers. He did what is referred to as like the East Bay Funk dunk. So it's like through your legs.
Yeah.
And it was in junk minutes in a game, and we were blowing a team out of the water. And then there was all of these like things that came out the next day. They're like, oh, Chauncey Billups apologized, said it was in bad taste. Meanwhile, every Blazers fan is just like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? That was the coolest
awesome.
in-game dunk I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like this, and like...
That's what puts butts in seats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's this like whole decorum, like sportsmanship, like you don't kick a team when they're down. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Is there another level of competitive basketball in the world?
I want you to spike the ball and do a backflip when you score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Please.
No, Portland State had one of their players was wearing the number 23, and he went for a dunk, and he missed it because one of the Montana State Bobcats got in his way because we're better at basketball than they are.
Get it? Forget it.
Ooh.
Get it? Forget it.
I like the white lace.
I do like the white lace.
White lace?
Cool.
Yep. Because it pops
Just
the
a
shoe.
little
You
pop.
need a color contrast.
It's if these were like crispy out the box, I think it would look better. Right now,
Yeah.
I do have.
A little
I'm
bit
gonna
of
have to
worn.
like skate these a couple times because like
Get some mud on those white
I need
laces.
to get the patina on the laces to match the
Yeah.
sole. But
What's the heel tab? Is it more
heel
of a
tab's
gray?
like gray? Yeah. But
But-
anyway, yeah. Glad that I did $4 well spent.
Let's talk about getting into sports because here's my problem with sports.
Yeah.
I have in my life I've
Team
gotten
sports.
team
You're
sports,
talking
watching
specifically about
sports,
team sports.
watching sports.
Okay.
I had a great time. Like I wasn't really into football, but then
Mm-hmm.
like I lived in Massachusetts, like outside of Boston
Mm-hmm.
for a little while, and I got really into watching Bruins games, and I got really into because my roommate was super into football, and so I watched the Patriots games,
yeah.
and it was so fun having the team that won every fucking game.
Yeah,
like I got
you
really
were there
into
like
it.
during like some of the great
Like,
years of the Patriots.
You know how I got into basketball?
Watching underdogs play. I don't
No,
know.
I lived with a bunch of fucking Lakers fans.
Yeah.
During like the Kobe Shaq era.
Okay, I don't know.
It's hard to not get excited when they're winning and the
Yeah.
entire room is losing their fucking minds. Every game.
It just.
Yes, I was a Lakers fan. Deal with it.
I didn't know that.
A lot of Blazers fans don't like that.
Oh yeah, I've heard there's.
Oh,
a
I know,
whole thing.
dude. Were you there when Todd made a very off-handed reference about Lakers, like about being at a Lakers game or being a Lakers fan or something, and just killed the energy of the room? And we never.
there.
Were you there?
Yeah.
When it was
When
like
was
I don't
this?
remember
was
what he
this
said.
at our show?
No, it was at. It
Or was this
at
at Beardo's like back in the day?
It was at one of the shows.
Oh, okay.
I think it was at like you were there. Okay.
Oh, I think I was.
It was
I
so
might have been
funny.
there. But they were
'Cause it
just
was
so
just
mad
like-
at him for being a Lakers fan that
like no one would laugh at anything Todd said like the rest of the night, and it was
those people
he just
should
bombed.
be embarrassed.
I mean, it was fine. It was funny to me that it just was like, oh, that he's like, I didn't think it mattered that much, and I was like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
read the room,
actually,
bud.
you guys know more about like Terry, especially since you're kind of in the world of sports
Uh-huh.
to some extent.
I'm an avid sports fan, yeah.
Yeah, you know about it. Explain that level of fandom. I don't
Rivalry?
have that level of like
Isn't there another team that's not the Bobcats from Montana?
yeah, if somebody
You only went because you like both teams.
No. I love the Cat Grizz game. I get that, but if somebody at a show said I'm a University of Montana Grizzlies fan, which is by far the team I hate the most of all the teams that
I'm
have
not
ever
gonna
played.
defend dickheads if that's
I
what
would-
you're trying to get me to do.
Yeah, like I would be like, oh, he's a fan of the Grizz. That sucks for him.
I mean,
and then
Yeah.
if he said a
That's a
funny
normal
thing,
person
I
thing.
would laugh.
my theory on it is that growing up in Montana, we
Yeah.
didn't really have, other than like college
Yeah.
basketball and football, there isn't really like a major team.
Mhm.
And there is this like, this is something that I learned when I lived in Las Vegas, actually, because where there's like this hometown pride, there's like this camaraderie that happens of like, I'm a part of this group, I'm from this city. It's like another way of repping your city. And there is this community part of it that's really fun. Like, it's rad when like I was on a trip, I don't even know where I was in like, I don't know, Palm Springs or something, and I'm wearing a Blazers jersey like at a pool, and then this dude just would not stop talking to me about Blazers, and I was just like, shit, I don't know the team that well, maybe I shouldn't wear this shirt.
The thing you got to understand about the Lakers when it
But
comes
I
to
had a
basketball
friend.
stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was
no,
cool.
that's the good part. But also, you can get that from like a fuck the ultimate team thing. So like the Lakers are the Yankees of basketball. That's
Okay.
the best analogy that I can make. Everybody in baseball hated the fucking Yankees because they got too much money. They just
They're like the
hoover up all the
Pats.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's one of those things like when there is the king of the mountain, everybody wants to take him down. And I think also with Portland, like the Portland, LA, Lakers, Blazers rivalry has been going on for fucking ever. Like I'm not informed enough on it to say like, oh, the inciting incident was in 1979. But Lakers and Blazers fans have always been very competitive. I think the difference is that the Blazers have always been like the West Coast little brother team of someone like the Lakers. So like we don't have the lineage, we don't have the rings, we don't have any of that stuff. So it makes it easier for Blazers fans to be like, man, fuck the Lakers. Like we hate the Lakers. Ta-da. Anyway, fuck the Lakers.
Well,
Because we're kind of the underdogs, so it's like we could talk as much shit as we want
yeah.
because like they've consistently
yeah,
beat us.
Lakers fans also, and I'm making a huge generalization, but whatever, I don't fucking care. Lakers fans have a certain cachet about them, and they're also just like, they are the bandwagon team. Like, they, for the last 20 years, were like the team where, like, yeah, I don't really like basketball, but, like, I don't know, I watch, like, a couple Lakers games every once in a while. Like, those are the people that then suddenly, when the Lakers are in the playoffs, they're like, yeah, Lakers, woo! And you're like, yo, bro, you haven't watched a single game all season.
Yeah.
Like, now you're a ride or die Lakers fan. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, like, I mean, I was starting to get into it because, like, last year we were doing that live stream, and so I was watching a whole bunch of Blazers games with you, and, like, you guys were talking about it, and I, like, started to get more into it. Like, I have been more historically into hockey, and, like, so I was watching hockey games, but then I actually, the part that made me have to, like, kind of take a step back from sports, even, I was starting to get this way with the Blazers, too, because I was actually paying attention and watching the games and just, like, getting into it, is I have to be emotional. This is my own problem with sports, so, like, you don't have to relate or whatever, but, like, for me to have fun watching sports, I have to get emotionally involved a little bit with the team.
Okay.
Like, I have to sort of put my emotions on, and I have more fun, but it hurts more when my team loses.
Sure.
Because I take it, the loss, I take the L way harder. And I, like, for a little while, like, because I got really into the Golden Knights when I was in Las Vegas, and it was really fun because they were winning. They were a new team. No one had heard of them. And I actually, like, went to a bunch of games, and it was really cool to see, to kind of be on the ground floor of a team that, like, the first time I saw a game, it was in Las Vegas, so that was all the opposing teams where the whole audience was, like, red. I want to say like Red Wings or something. God, what the team was? It was like Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, Red Wings, I think, is from Detroit.
I think that's who they were playing, and the whole audience was all red jerseys. Like, the whole audience. And it was just like, we're definitely the minority in our own stadium.
Yeah.
For the first few games. But then we were like, we were winning. We were like beating these teams. And then slowly it started to be more Vegas fans in Vegas. And, like, people were, and I had this experience where, like, I would be wearing, like, my Vegas gear, and then, like, people there's a community element to it. Like people just like high five me on the street and just like, yeah, go Knights or whatever. Like that was something I never experienced. And you don't experience that in a place like Montana because we don't really have, I mean, there's the college stuff.
I think you absolutely do with the college stuff. I think
Really?
that is not
the
a
college,
Montana
the
only
college
thing
thing
either.
is,
It
I think,
just-
the closest we get.
It
Like
would
we don't have
be.
a professional team,
Yeah.
and so like when I was growing up, my friends my friends all had different teams that they were like
Yeah.
whatever their dad liked. My dad,
or like, yeah.
my parents hated sports. They thought it was a waste of time and money. They resented it it's like sports were not a thing.
Yeah.
Fuck that, it was dumb. Like my dad, he at least appreciated, like he could tell me the rules of it.
I mean, the
And
last.
he would throw the football if I wanted to throw it.
Mhm.
But like sports were not really, we never watched it.
We were not a sports family, but like my mom would get into, she'd watch like the playoffs for baseball, and
Okay.
like we never watched football. Now I got my mom into basketball. She watches basketball now. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, I think when they lived in Arizona for a bit, and they watched the Suns when they lived there.
I-
But then like
I like basketball, and because it's a pretty engaging sport, and I actually really like how many
it's
points
fun
are
to
scored.
watch. It's fun to watch live.
I really have
do
a,
like
a good time
basketball live.
with it live as well. But yeah, I just found that I started to I had to stop watching some of the Knights games because I would just it would like ruin my night
Oh, dude,
or
I
my
haven't- I
day.
haven't watched the Blazers game
And
in
it
like
just is
almost a
like-
month and a half,
And
they're winning.
they are.
Yeah.
I haven't
They
been
whooped
paying
the
attention
shit
this
out
year.
of the fucking Raptors today.
Oh really?
Oh,
Oh
nice.
yeah, they were up by like
Take that,
35 in the
Canada.
second quarter. But no, I mean they're tanking right now. Dame's not playing. He's going to get surgery. A bunch of the players are out. The team's kind of like in turmoil, and I'm just like, yo.
so
like,
now would be a great time to try to get tickets for cheap.
if we weren't experiencing a huge COVID resurgence, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be going to every fucking game. The last Blazers game that I went to, I paid $7 for what are like decent tickets.
Oh,
we were
really?
like 300 level, but like dead center middle court, and I brought 3 other people, and it's like that. I love that shit. I love going to games. I've talked on the show before, but like I used to go to Beavers games when Portland had a AAA baseball team. I fucking hate baseball. I think it's like one of the wackest sports, but it's a great way to burn 4 hours for $12. Like
Live.
Have you
I
gone
feel
to
like
Timbers games?
I went to
Speaking
one
of
Timbers.
burning 4 hours.
I went to one Timbers game pre MLS, and
Yeah.
like soccer doesn't really turn my crank the way that other sports do. I will say that like in a different life, I am 100% like 1017 Timbers Army, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Like that shit to me is what I'm into because I think it's more evocative of the college stuff. I'm going to pull back to college
Yeah.
real quick. The thing that I think is cool about college sports in areas like Montana where there's not a professional league is that you just have fandom for the team. You have such a revolving cast of characters that the people that you really fixate on are the coaches.
Oh, okay.
There are superstar players that will come and go if you're in a decent division, but for the most part, you really have allegiance to the team, not the individual pieces that compile the team.
Okay.
And I think that that's cool. Now, I don't watch college sports because it's fucking bad. I'd rather just watch professional. Like, I don't watch college basketball. Why would I want to watch a bunch of kids like brick open threes because they're hoping that there's like a team that's going to maybe consider getting them for a 10-day? Like, it doesn't interest me. But
I don't know. I feel like I get the college sports in Montana more now that I've been to college there. Because like my parents also didn't grow up in Montana. Neither of them had an allegiance to either
where
school.
your folks grow up? By the
My
way?
dad went to University of Maryland,
Where do you
College
grow up, though?
Park,
In like
in DC
Maryland?
area.
Yeah.
First 11 years of his life was in Philly, and then he moved to DC.
And he's not a sports
it's fun.
fan. Very interesting.
No,
That was like-
I do claim the Eagles is my NFL team.
okay.
They weren't the year they won the Super Bowl because they were doing too good, and I was like, I gotta
like,
bail on this
nah.
team because I'll be called a bandwagoner. But they suck again, so the Eagles are my team. Thank God they suck again. I love that they have the biggest dirtbag fandom of all time. I think
Yep.
that's hilarious.
Yep.
It was them or the Raiders.
Raiders are better. Raiders are like the chaotic good. Eagles, and I say this as a person who grew up like outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Eagles fans suck.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I think that's hilarious, and so I've decided to join their ranks.
I think that a lot of it has to do more with the reputation, though.
Yeah.
Like everyone's looking for Eagles fans to be shitty.
Yeah.
All
Next
fans
time
are
I see
shitty.
Santa,
Yeah, right. Throw
catching
some batteries
these
at them.
snowballs, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, like, so I never was raised with a sports allegiance, so I don't really get like the passionate sports allegiance. It doesn't make sense.
If you were to listen to sports
me.
radio for 2 weeks, it would completely change the way that you look at stuff. Or like
Yeah.
sports podcasts. If you listen to like No Dunks, which is like a podcast that's been going on now under different names forever, if you listen to that shit for 2 weeks straight and it's a daily podcast, you would be like, if you listen to it, you would be super into basketball. Nick, if you listen to it, you'd be like, damn, dude, I want to like go to some of these games and like, oh, okay, this gives me more backstory on things that I hear in passing, but I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Now I kind of understand it a little bit, and I can be part of those conversations. I can like have something to chit chat with somebody about when we're sitting on the bus and like they're wearing a Blazers thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's that community aspect, the kind of like, I don't,
Man, I want to say I scored some major dad points last year because I was watching so many Suns and Blazers games with you guys. And then my dad was like, my dad will just, I don't know, the last time I was there, he talked my ear off about how important this Bobcat or this Grizz game that was happening when I was there last month.
Wait, was it the Cat Grizz football game?
No, it was a different one. It was another one where
the Grizzlies won it this year.
Well, there was a thing where a team, I want to say it was Boise or something. They play these things where it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna destroy this team.
Yeah.
We're supposed to, and they won. They did not destroy the team that they were supposed to do. The like ridiculous just crush
like they
them.
played Boise State, which is a significantly bigger school, and then the Grizzlies won it.
And the Grizz, I think it was something like that. My dad spent like 4 hours explaining the whole importance of the game. But there was a Bobcat game that was also happening that was equally important. There was a bunch of upsets that happened this year in football.
Well, the Bobcats made it to the finals of whatever their division is. They got their ass kicked by North Dakota State in the finals. I did watch that game too.
So anyway, Dad's talking about how important the game is.
My dad's always just like telling me about the importance of, like, he's telling me the underdog story of the team for some reason. I've never asked him to tell me, but you know, he always tells me. But
Just,
it was
real quick. He watches all these games.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to make sure because there's some people that get more into that shit than the actual games.
And he listens to them. I think he listens
He's
to
a
lot
fan.
of the stuff.
Yeah.
Or he kind of waits till towards the end or whatever, and then he'll pay attention. He watches some of it, but it was so funny when last year when I was like pretty up on, he was just blown away when I knew some stuff about the Suns.
Yeah,
and like was it Paul? Chris
Yeah.
Paul. I like named that, and my dad just his head
like, "Wait a
exploded.
Why do you know
like,
who Chris
what,
Paul
my
is?"
gay son knows something about basketball?
I feel like, and I'm not saying this about your dad, but like I could see someone in that conversation be like, wait, is Chris Paul gay? Is that why you know about him? He's like, nah, man, he's a great player.
Yeah. It was just really funny. I mean, like, my dad just knows me as like the like skater. I never really care. I didn't. I tried to get into watching games with him or whatever. He'd make me choose a team, and I would be like, all right, I guess I'm going. I was into the Magic. I really liked the Magic.
Yep.
And then the Rockets. I was into the Rockets for a
they
while.
suck now.
Good team name.
Apparently they suck. And then the Raptors, because dinosaurs.
Also
Like-
great team name.
I'm gonna
in that,
say
what was that era? What was that player that was like that made
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter.
Yeah.
That was the era. I
When
was
you were watching Raptors.
I was
games?
watching Raptors games with
Yeah.
my dad.
I would say so. It seems like we're all pretty, at least leaning towards pro, not professional, but like we are a pro sports podcast. In that sports are cool.
Mm-hmm.
We acknowledge that people like them.
Yeah, I see their value.
I'm glad because if either of y'all motherfuckers there's a very specific type of personality, and if I'm talking to you at home, stop doing this shit. The people that are like it's a sports ball time, I guess. Like the people that are like, sports, y'all, this is stupid. Why do you like this? I don't like this. Sports ball, hand egg, and like just kind of like this derision for people enjoying things that you personally don't like. That shit to me is like nails on a fucking chalkboard. Like I had to mute the word sports ball because I was losing respect for people that I genuinely liked, because all of a sudden like a person I spent a lot of time with who like I thought was really cool out of nowhere is just like, wow, the timeline's really full with all this sports ball conversation. I'm like, Keith, no. Please.
No.
It's the Super Bowl today.
Well,
it will be.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
won't be the Super Bowl tomorrow.
I-
They played it today.
I think the thing that has gotten me into more interested in sports is like I've done deep dives on like I've watched so many 30 for 30s and like I've really grown to appreciate sports documentaries and like seeing what different people and different players and seeing that whole I find them very inspiring and
Yeah, just
I
kind
like
of
that
learning
stuff
like
a lot.
the amount that goes into actually becoming
Yeah.
a professional athlete. You're like, oh, these guys aren't just like they didn't just have some natural talent and show up. Like they had some natural talent, but they had to put in just years and years and years and years and years of work just to get here. Like
Yeah, or
It's
just to
pretty
like
cool.
go get over like these injuries that like
well, and just the
You don't
level
even
to
know
which these
about.
guys are
Like,
like anybody who's at that level of their field is kind of fun to see it.
Like, have you watched that Kobe documentary?
No.
It's a few years old. It was like he had like an injury and then he like got over it or he like worked through it and it's crazy seeing the amount of like work that he had to put in like after getting a like a knee surgery or like he like blew an ACL or something like that.
He was like
It's
getting all the experimental like fly
Yeah.
to Germany and get
Yeah.
like stem cells shot in your knee. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a rough go. I think like the thing that we're talking about now is why I not to bring it back to these dingbats, but like the sports ball crowd, I think they lack a view that is more than a surface level one. So like all they see is Philadelphia fans like putting a keg over the gates of City Hall to celebrate them winning, or like the Philadelphia cops having to grease the light poles so that people don't climb up to the top of them. And they see it as like this kind of like bonehead, like idiot activity. And it's like, yo, this shit is just as valid as anything that you're into. And if you actually paid it attention the way that you would anything else, you might actually have an appreciation for that. But instead, you just write it off as like, I'm sorry that you got stuffed into a locker by a dickhead when you were in high school.
Yeah.
But like sports as a whole is something that the vast majority of the world engages with or engages in at one point or another. And to just like unilaterally write everything off because you're seeing scores on your timeline.
And I've like read a bunch of like I can't quote them or whatever, but like basketball coaches like doing some like really cool inspirational things that like I apply to like the way I run my business or like the way that I inspire my team members or whatever it is. It's like, yes, it's basketball, but you can take those things and those lessons. And I really appreciate those. And that's something that I wouldn't get if I was just like, oh, sports ball, skip this, you know, like
There's also like this kind of like perceived understanding that like, oh, all you need to do to be a professional athlete is just jump really high. And it's like, oh, well, if it's that easy, then all you need to do to be a tenured professor is to be like, I don't know, super smart. It's like, no, you have to be able to be a good coworker. You have to be able to be diplomatic. You have to be a good teacher to your students. There's so many like soft skills that come into the success of a academic pursuit. The same is true with sports. Like, if you're a fucking dickhead, it's going to be really difficult to make it as a professional athlete.
it doesn't matter how good you are.
And I think like the same is with both of these analogies. Like, if you are a world-class like standout in your field, you can probably be a fucking dickhead and have a lot of success. That is 1 in a billion. And like, there's so many things that have to happen both for you, with you, and by you to get you to that point that like no one ends up in the NBA, with the exception of guys that are 7 feet tall or more, because they've run the stats on this. And it's like the probability, if you're born in certain parts of the world and you're 7 feet tall, it's actually kind of easy to get into the NBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But independent of like having a freakish genetic makeup, yes, everyone knows the stories of Kobe, but it's like every single person that's in the NBA busted their fucking ass to get there.
Even
Like,
if you are over 7 feet tall.
I watched the Kareem
Unless you're
Jabul.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Abdul-Jabbar. I just decided to put it all into one name.
Yeah,
Oh man, and he was a big dude, but he worked super hard, and he like struggled. I mean, like his stuff, a lot of his struggles was like racism things and stuff like that. But
I feel like even if you're like a super tall dude, you can't just skate by, because then you'll be a guy who's in the NBA but never plays. And that's a bummer too. Like if you want to be a star, you still have to work really, really hard.
There's a dude in the league right now. I wish if I could pull him up, I would. His name's Boban. I can't remember his last name, but he's this guy who's just like freakishly big. I'm not joking. I think his hands are like this big. It's insane. I will show it to you offline. And he's a dude that, like, I think if he wasn't that big, it would have been a lot harder. Like, having the size and the stature kind of gives you the track.
It gives you
a
leg up for sure. Like, watching the game yesterday, the college game that I watched, each team had a couple of guys that were, like, closing in on 7 feet.
Yep.
Like 6'6" to 6'9".
Oh, 6'6" is, like, normal height in basketball.
In professional basketball. College ball, that's still pretty fucking
Yeah,
tall.
yeah.
Anyway, for this, they were like easily a full head taller than anybody else. Once one of those guys got the ball, it was like you were playing with kindergartners.
That's why I don't watch college sports.
It's like, yeah, it's up here, and jump for it, boys. You know. And so that was, it was like, oh yeah, that's the value of having a super fucking tall guy, because he just grabbed the ball and be like,
it'll get you really
who's getting
far.
This? Who's
but then I think that jump from like the collegiate level to a professional level, that's
those
where
guys,
the work ethic comes into play.
And they're going to go from being the tallest guy on the team to being a short guy or a regular guy.
Yeah, like if you're 6'10" in the league, like that's tall. You're not the biggest person. So
no,
like,
if
you need to be well-rounded.
If you're 6'6" to 7 foot in the NBA, you're most guys, right?
A lot of the guards are like I can say for Portland, we have 3 guards that are all 6'3", and that's kind of like one of our weaknesses. Because the league is bigger, we have a hard time having those guys defend someone who's like 6'6", 6'7". So, yeah, I mean, size matters. You know, it's just like a unfortunate reality of the situation. But talent can kind of like shore up a lot of those gaps. So
yeah.
So bust your ass, kids.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think that was. Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, I will say that for quite a while I was kind of a sports ball guy. It was like somewhere in college that I started to get it.
I was like, yeah, I don't get it. Why do you guys care so much?
It was left over from like my teenage years of being like, hey, I've got something to offer here too, but nobody gives a fuck that I'm good at math. Like. It's not interesting. I can't throw a ball.
I think it's one of these things like you're supposed to be good at school when you're a kid. You're not supposed to be good at sports.
But if you're good at sports, you are celebrated in a way that if you're good at school, you just aren't.
I also think that sports in school gives you a disproportionate social advantage than it like once you're out of college.
Like that's where the sports ball shit comes from is you're either good at sports and like in that club in school or in your like grade school and high school years, or you're not.
Yeah.
And so if you are like me and you just weren't, I had a bad taste in my mouth for sports for a while because it's like, you know what? Fuck those kids.
Dude, I
have something to offer
sports
here too, but nobody gives a shit because this guy can fucking throw a ball.
They're not having a pep rally because you got a good score on the math test.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't give a shit that I taught myself high school math and I still fucking smoke the ACTs. Nobody celebrated.
Yeah.
You know, they should.
What were you going to say, Bjorn?
Oh, I was just going to say my school was kind of weird because we were a ski town. So, like, I had a weird advantage of, like, I was also cool. And I remember the star football player, like, it was almost like he was popular with, like, the parents and stuff. But, like, none of the cool kids, all the cool kids were, like, my snowboard and ski friends. Like, those were the cool kids. We're like...
Yeah.
Like, so if you were good at ski, there was a few ski racers that were really popular and, like, went on to, like, the Olympics or whatever. I feel like they were in school, like, never. They were never there. They were just, like, they were always gone, like, doing ski racing. Like, skiing and snowboarding was more the thing. If you were good at that, then you were cool. It was a weird, unique scenario.
I was decent at that. I wasn't great. But, no, Dylan was very much a football town.
Yeah.
Like our high school football team was like the best fucking high school football team in the state.
Ours
Just
apparently
year
was
after
good,
year,
but
for,
nobody
like,
would go.
Decades on end. The whole town celebrated it. And I was not a popular kid for the few years I was in school, and then I was homeschooled. So I was just always a loser.
Well, there'd be
it was in my head. I thought I was a loser. And so, you know, it was just kind of like, I just had that mentality, and it took me till I was about 25-ish years old to even start to beat that. So here I am with a lot of expensive shoes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Therapy is great. Go to it.
It'll help get you there. Speaking of getting us there, we're getting towards the end of the show, but Bjorn, you did bust out this little air purifier, and we whiffed on this on the last off topic, but we were going to do a heat check, and we were going to talk about this Blu by Blu Air.
Do we want to do it and then get
purifier.
out of here before
let me pull up, and I will try to get this on the soundboard in the future so I don't have to do this. I don't know. Maybe you can edit this out, or do you just want to go in blind?
I want to go in blind.
I haven't listened to any of this shit.
But I want Nick to go first because
Okay.
I feel like I went first. It's retails $138.
$138. Good to know. All right, Terry.
All right, we're gonna go in blind. When you hear the music, Nick, take it away. You ready?
Do you want your air to be clean? And do you want other people to notice that you want your air to be clean? This air purifier looks cool. It looks really cool. And it's really quiet. They won't hear it. It also doesn't work that good. But you know what? Who gives a shit? It looks cool. Blu Air by Blu Air.
Nailed it.
$38.99.
Oh, the song isn't even over.
Yeah, technically it's 34 seconds.
Oh, okay. So
do you want the same song, or do you want a different song, Bjorn?
Dealer's choice.
All right, you ready?
Yep. Do you have dirty air? Do you need it cleaned up? Then you should try Blu Air, or Blu by Blu Air. It's a small air filter. You can change it easily. It's totally silent. I'm not even totally sure if it works or not, but I feel like it does because I spent $138 on this thing. You have to replace the filter every 6 months, or you can just reset it and leave the filter the same. That's my whole promo.
I will say, I listened to the off topics the other day. I don't think you guys are moving a lot of units on these heat checks.
You know what? They don't actually sponsor the podcast.
That's true. That's true. All right.
All right, let's get it.
Oh man. All right, this might be a weird one for me. I'm gonna play jazz with the song here, and it might not be particularly appropriate for the season, but here we go. Wait, this is Blu by Blu Air.
Blu by Blu Air.
Coming home for the holidays this year, and you still want to get high like giraffe pussy in your old room? Pick up Blu by Blu Air. You can present it to your parents as a holiday gift, and chief like Cheech and Chong after dinner each night. Also, it can be helpful with pollen, moisture, and bacteria on the back. This is a great way to stay safe and stay safe.
Yeah.
You went over time, dude.
I did.
I love it.
That was great.
Into it.
I was going to lean into the whole smoking weed thing, and then got away from me.
Yeah.
The holiday thing really fucked me up. That was weird. All right, well, who do you think is going to be most likely to buy a Blu by Blu Air after this?
Wait, which one of us?
No, because you already got one. I'm
already-
definitely not buying this after
Probably
the
not
things
gonna-
you said about it.
Probably not going to buy it again.
What do you think is the most appealing pitch? That it sucks, or that you can smoke weed and your parents won't find
I
out?
think
I think
yours.
I think
yours
you got
was,
it.
You're the only one that didn't shit on it in some way
You
or
gotta
another.
sell these things,
I
baby.
know. I know.
I know, but I wanted to be funny and make fun of the product and be honest. I care about our listeners.
And if you want to advertise on Size 10, hit us up at Size 10 Podcast.
I know that I'll care about my listeners.
Yeah.
You better
What were we
not
talking-
come to us with some bullshit.
We were talking about this earlier in the group chat. What was it that I was going to... Oh, no. Cariuma? Y'all know that shoe company?
No.
It's like a skate shoe company.
Mm-mm.
Sucks. I was joking about how, like, one of my biggest fears is that they would want to sponsor this show because I fucking hate the
Oh,
company.
yeah, I know. That would be tough. Like, if we got, like, a sponsor and we just got to, like... That would be that moment. That's, like, the ultimate podcasters. It's like... Do we really?
I don't think it's that
or do we
hard
silver
if we have
line?
conviction. We could
Yeah.
just be like, no. And if you want to give us that money, somebody else probably does, and we won't have to like grin
Yeah.
and bear it.
That's
Yeah,
But,
I think that's what we would have to do is kind of shop the offer around or
Yeah,
whatever.
we'll get there. We'd be like, Cariuma wants to give us this much money, so you could scoop them.
I mean, but I think the biggest selling point of this is the Blu Air is always running in the studio all the time, and
Is that true?
you
It's
don't hear
silent.
it. Yeah, it's
It is silent, and it does look cool.
all right, we don't really have to sell it.
No, I hit the 2 points in
All right.
my ad.
I think we're going a little over on the time we were trying to do. Does someone want to take us out? Nick, do you want to do it this time?
Sure. Why not? If you guys like this episode, hit that like button. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on Spotify.
Wait,
we got video on Spotify, too.
All right, go.
Oh, Mannheim Steamroller Christmas? Is that what this is? Okay, subscribe, like, all that. We're on social media. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram at Size10Podcast. Follow us everywhere that you like to be on social media. We have new episodes every Wednesday. Whatever this was, every Friday.
Off topic.
I'm trying to fill this time. Okay, if you want to go see comedy in the city of Portland, Oregon, the third Saturday of every month, Bjorn is at Curious Comedy Club with Maricha Hoprich and Jaron George doing vibe comedy. It's a wonderful time. They got cool headliners. It's a cool show. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yay!
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah. Get people to listen to the show
The
and
show's
hit us up
awesome.
on social. We'll see you next week,
We're
folks.
professionals.